Hi, I'm Marc Reguera from the Microsoft Finance Toronto Business Group. There are a lot of people who inspire me when it comes to building data visualization. Edward Tufte, Stephen Few, Alberto Caro, to name a few. When it comes to presenting data visualization, one person really inspired me, and that's Hans-Peter Rosling, who has done this famous TED Talk with moving bubbles showing the progress in health and economics in countries in Africa. So today, we're going to use PPI by Microsoft with PowerView to show you the same visuals that Hans-Peter Rosling has been showing at TED. PowerView is part of SQL Server 2012 and is also part of Excel 2013. So we have here a chart that shows on this axis the number of children per woman, and then the child mortality, which is the number of children per 1,000 who died before they are 5 years old. And the size of the bubble represents the population in that country. So the two big bubbles here are China and India, because they are the biggest two countries in terms of populations. So we can animate this chart and see, for example, then in the year 80s and 90s, you see significant improvement in Asian countries going down in India under 100 children per 1,000 deaths. And in the year 2000s, after the HIV and the wars ended, significant improvement in Africa with child death mortality under 200. So we're going to focus a bit more on Africa specifically and see just for the countries that are in Africa without comparing to the other countries. We're going to zoom in on two countries in particular that have been affected by war, which is Sierra Leone and Rwanda. Again, if we animate this chart, we see in the 80s some improvement, but what happened? The war takes place in both Rwanda and Sierra Leone. Child mortality shoots up and stays up for a while until the year 2000, where we finally see some real progress in child mortality, going down to 50 per children, 50 deaths per 1,000 in Rwanda, and still pretty high in Sierra Leone, close to 200. There's other ways to look at the progress in Africa. And we're going to use the amazing interactive self-service capability of PowerView to show you other indicators that show the progress that has been done in the last 10 years. You have a map of Africa with the size of the bubbles representing the population. Nigeria being the biggest country in terms of population. You see Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Africa. And we have different charts. The GDP per capita, the agriculture as a percentage of GDP, the number of HIV deaths, the mobile phone per 100 people, and then the trend in population. So you see that Africa has been flat to down between 1980 and 2000, $2,300 per capita, same amount in the early 2000. And we see it shooting up closer to $3,000 in the last few years. We see Africa being less dependent on agriculture. We see for the first time in the last few years the HIV death going down, and then an incredible increase. We have 70 mobile phones per 100 people in Africa. But what's amazing with PowerView is that you can explore. We can look at the biggest country, Nigeria. All the charts are going to change and just show us Nigeria. Nigeria follows the pattern of Africa, growing their GDP per capita, which has been flat for over 20 years at $1,600, up to $2,400. We see the HIV death going down below 250,000, and there is nearly 60 mobile phones per 100 in Nigeria. If we go down to another big country, Ethiopia was impacted dramatically in the 80s by starvation, and we see 600 GDP per capita flat for 20 years, and now we're closer to 900, an increase of 50% in the last 8 to 9 years. Still dependent on agriculture, over half of the GDP, nearly half, represent GDP, and then we see the mobile phone going up to 18. If we go south to Kenya, we're going to see similar improvement, a little bit of a roller coaster, but still significant improvement in the last few years. Kenya is a country that opened up itself a lot to foreign aid, and you can see they are less dependent on agriculture, and you can see that there is nearly 70 phones per 100 people in Kenya. If we go south to countries, and we can zoom in the map, we're going to go to countries that are rich in mineral. We click on Zambia, and Zambia is a country fairly small that has around 10-15 million people, increasing quite a bit, taking advantage of their rich mineral resources and also having around 60 phones per 100 people. His neighborhood, Zimbabwe, even though they're also very rich in minerals doesn't have the same pattern that have been going down in GDP per capita. So with this amazing capability of PowerView, we're going to zoom in back up and go back to Africa overall. You can see the incredible progress we have made through the self-service interactive capability of Microsoft PowerView, an amazing piece of hardware that is PPI by Microsoft. Thank you for watching.